to our another edition of Leader Talk by nasscom Insights. I'm your host, Parikshit Kumar. I manage the nasscom community. Today, I'm thrilled to welcome Mehjabeen Taj Aalam, the Chief Digital and Information Officer at Raychem RPG, to our virtual podcast. With over 23 years of diverse industry experience, Mehjabeen has led digital transformation journeys over BFSI, housing finance, and now core manufacturing and engineering. At Raychem RPG, she spearheads the company's IT and digital strategy, bringing a sharp focus on AI, cloud, automation, cybersecurity, and sustainable innovation. Raychem RPG, a joint venture between RPG Enterprises and TE Connectivity, is a pioneer in smart infrastructure and energy solutions. Welcome to our podcast, Mehjabeen. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Parikshit. Thanks for having me.
Sure. So, viewers, in our today's dialogue, we'll explore how Mehjabeen's journey from cultivating a learning mindset to driving digital transformation has shaped her leadership impact. We'll also dive into evolving tech landscape. We'll try to ask redefining ROIs and what it truly takes to build inclusive and future-ready organization. So to begin first, Mehjabeen, could you introduce yourself and describe your career path leading up to this role? What are your main responsibilities and objectives at Raychem RPG in driving digital transformation?
My career, Parikshit, has largely been surviving on curiosity and coffee, I would say, being in tech. And I guess that's also how I have perfected the art of managing chaos. But having said that, in fact, in today's world, I think a huge employability distinction as well. So this is also the pep talk I keep giving myself every day. But yes, on to the specifics, I've been a tech professional through and through. I've worked across financial and industrial domain, having worked with Mahindra's, Tata's, and now the RPG group. And by virtue of also being a millennial, I think I have seen impressive ecosystem and technological changes, and that too at a very unprecedented pace, for which I think I'm also very deeply grateful. It has also been quite character building in many ways. And what we humans as a race have sort of juggled in the last decade, I think it has been nothing less than impressive. Having not just survived but also thrived this entire madness, it also shows how indomitable the human spirit is and also how fascinating tech could be. As a Chief Digital and Information Officer at Raychem RPG, I take care of both the functions by being part strategist, part technologist, largely a storyteller. My job is to help our business unlock growth through digital transformation, and that's not just by deploying tech, but by also reimagining the way we work, and that's where the entire storytelling bit comes in. We ensure that our digital investments don't just automate, but we are also elevating business, we are elevating people, we are elevating processes. But having said that, I think building resilient, safe, scalable, and now largely data-led systems, they still remain my function's key responsibility.
Thank you so much, Mehjabeen, for setting up the context and sharing about your roles and responsibilities. Let's dive into the second question. Let's talk about emerging tech opportunities. So, can you share with our audience which emerging tech trends excites you most and what opportunities do they create parallel?
I'm generally right now excited about all forms of AI, whether it be traditional AI or generative AI or agentic AI. Systems that are not just assisting you, but they are also acting. You can say, Parikshit, that they are like these smart, largely obedient interns who would not rank the task at hand, or they will not roll their eyes if the project is not very fancy, or they'll not take very frequent coffee breaks, but a genuine aid to you who would rather diligently write your emails, clean your data, and still kind of learn on the job. But of course, we need to watch out for them because they can go rogue, and just like the interns, you have to kind of keep that bit in check. But I believe these are the various forms of AI. They're going to be super game changers. I think other than that, convergence of AI with IoT maybe blockchain, and of course, sustainability metrics. I think they will also be very pretty interesting to watch. I'm guessing that's where the real magic will also happen. At Raychem, we are exploring how these techs can power predictive maintenance. We are looking at the idea of having digital twins for simulations, and that's something we've been working upon, trying to at least get the base into place before we kind of graduate to a level of having a digital twin. Supply chain definitely remains on the agenda. So, how do we simplify it? How do we optimize it using AI and tools? That remains on the agenda. See, largely the idea is that we optimize cost and we build a future ready business, which is scalable and also sustainable. And with that as our core theme, I think that's how we kind of look at these technologies, and that's how we are trying to deploy these technologies.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think you very rightly put on the agentic AI front and linking it with sustainability, because I think sustainability with automation is something that every large organization or organization, manufacturing specifically, are looking up to. And we are hopeful that digital twin methodology gets implemented soon at Raychem RPG, and we see some impact. And globally, so digital twins has already been showing some wonders, and all the best for that as well. So we'll look up to the digital twin impact that Raychem RPG sees. Okay, so let's head on to the next question, which is basically reassessing the ROI from technology investments. We have been witnessing that technology leaders have been very skeptical with respect to investments. So my next question to you is, in this current environment characterized by cautious or reduced technology spending, how are organizations critically evaluating and adapting their strategies to define, measure, and ultimately demonstrate a compelling return on investment from technology services? If you can share your point of view, I think that will be very insightful for the audience.
I think ROI, Parikshit, it starts coming in when you move from a vanity metrics to a value metrics. And I think that's how even the entire digital or the digitization wave is also moving. Today, every tech investment that we are making or deciding to make, it has to earn its place at the table. At some point in past, I think in digital transformation could have been about the shiniest tool, and productivity could have just been a bonus. But I think today it isn't even about the tech that you are deploying. It's largely and increasingly about the traction that you are gaining with that tech. So how does the adoption look like? For example, how is it impacting numbers and efficiency? Is it making my users happy, or is it killing their job fulfillment? Do I have a mid and a long term total cost of ownership versus ROI cost benefit analysis done? Is there a support ecosystem, internal or external? So these are the kind of pertinent questions that we are asking today before diving into any sort of a digitization project. And I think it's not just me. I think a lot of my industry colleagues are doing just the same. If you are launching an app, for example, earlier we used to kind of track that, okay, how many downloads on the app has happened to kind of track whether it's successful or not. Today, we don't track those numbers. We would rather track, is there an overall productivity and efficiency marker to gain? And are we making strides on that? Are my users completing tasks faster? Are we reducing errors? Are we improving uptime? So those are the things which are kind of, driving ROI. Also, I won't say that tech spend is reduced. If anything, I think the spend is growing in tech, and it is pretty much becoming a boardroom discussion today. Security is a focal point for all leaders, and it's no longer discretionary for them, even if they want to. And the level of knowledge that now you see which resides in boardroom regarding security and digitization, it's prodigious. So I think this entire focus on the digitization and the automation piece is becoming so mainstream, and the value add that they're bringing is something which is coming to light. And the entire ROI bit is no longer very difficult to prove also, because these techs are so much maturing that you definitely have very visible metrics of measuring these ROI and proving why your investment could make a difference.
So thank you for that input. So moving on to the next part, Mehjabeen, there is a question that is very pertaining, and I think we aim to ask that question, which is respect to challenges for women in technology aspect. So basically, you have been voicing about women facing problems or challenges in the technology landscape, and we wanted to highlight and keep the discussion going on. So my next question to you with respect to the same is, women are underrepresented at senior levels in technology. Globally, they account for only 28% of tech workers and even lower percentage in leadership category. So, in your view, what barriers continue to keep women from entering or advancing in tech careers? For example, I would say, how do factors like workplace culture, bias, or lack of role model play a role? Or how did you personally overcome these challenges? If you can share some insights on that, then it will be very helpful for the larger audience and to shape the discussion as well.
I believe it's a mix. While barriers and bias they still exist, many of these are also self-inflicted. See, by now we as women know what social conditioning is, what prejudices exist. You might as well brace yourselves up for those and chart out a plan to kind of circumvent those and move forward. You can only do what's in your control rather than boiling the whole ocean, and it'll boil when it'll boil. But why wait? I mean, treat rejections as redirections and move on. See, these barriers, Parikshit, are often very invisible, but they're very real also. If you are the only woman in a room, most likely you will be mistaken for the note taker. I have been there. And so many times I have been there that it's not funny. You go to a tech conference and they assume that you are part of the event management team. Because आजकल तो सब ब्लेजर पहन के आते हैं. तो so ये सब होता है. And while it's gradually declining, but it is still a long way, I would say, from vanishing completely. So take it in your stride and keep showing up at places where you would want the normalization of women's presence to happen. Sponsorship, again, a huge miss. There is a serious lack of it for women, and the prove it again syndrome, it makes it even harder for them to rise. And you add to it subtle signals of workplace culture that will tell you that you don't belong here, and it can soon get quite exhausting or overwhelming for women if they allow these things to kind of get to them. So I'd say the only way out is to overcome it. And by that I mean that you find your own voice. Don't shrink to fit the room. You expand the room. Bring your ideas, your ambition, your own voice. You bring it unfiltered. See, tech needs your perspective. And yes, I mean, you need to find allies. You don't just need to have mentors who give you advice, but you will need sponsors who are going to say your names in rooms where you're not present. So as a first step, I would say that just stop waiting to feel ready before you kind of, raise your hand. Confidence is seriously overrated. You add a little courage to your competence and I think you're home. Raise your hand even if it is shaking. Confidence is built in the doing and not in the waiting.
So rightly put, ma'am. I think the example that you gave, which was, I think, real time, where these observations that we mentioned is something that, yes, a lot of people, or especially women technology leaders, would be or would have faced in the past. And to add this up, I would like to ask one, also on a positive side, since we discussed about challenges, could you help me with one positive factor that you also witnessed while being in the CDIO at Raychem RPG, or as
I'll share two. And these are like kind of things that had a personal impression on me. This was not while I am the CDIO at Raychem. This was, I think, this must have been 2-3 roles before. And there was this Dun & Bradstreet conference around cloud, and it was it was a closed group roundtable. And when I was there, I realized that I was the only lady, and the only other lady present there was DSCI's Rama Vedashri. So she used to head it at that point in time. Roundtable got over and all of that, and she actually walked up to me and she said, "I am so proud to see a woman other than me here. This is, kind of so good." And that's how I realized that for women, and I was also very relieved to see her there, in the sense that okay, there is some other lady, though everybody knew Rama, but we were like, there is also some other lady. So that kind of brought the fact home to me that being present there, it's not that there are no women in tech, there are, some of them, but we kind of lag when it comes to networking or making ourselves available when these conferences happen, or kind of attending them. The lesser we do, the lesser our presence is, the lesser is the visibility, and the less normal it is for people to know that okay, there are women in tech. And so I don't blame the people who would kind of consider me as a part of the event management team when I go to these conferences, because they never see a woman there. So that was something which was impression forming for me, and it also kind of made me, reassert it to myself that no, you have to show up, you have to speak up, and you have to make yourself visible, not just for yourself, but for the larger community in general. Recently, as a CDI of Raychem RPG, I was at some event where there were multiple vendor partners and we were engaging. And there was this gentleman who walked up to me. So he was one of the solution partners sales head. And he was also from the same faith as mine. And he walked up to me and he said, I sent your details over to my daughter because we find so few of us, in tech, especially in STEM, and that too at a position which is leading. And this kind of makes me so happy. And then he shared details about, what his daughter is doing. And I think she was getting at IBM and all of that. And this kind of gave the father a little bit of a comfort that, okay, this is what, your child can do, being of this gender, but still being in that stream. And again, bringing the fact home that this so normalizes us being there. So I think one thing which has happened is more of us are now coming in here, which is a good thing. And tech, I would say, Parikshit, by definition, is a very inclusive function. Tech ko male female nahi chahiye. Tech only need brains. So if you're getting your brain along, I think tech will be ever a great field for anybody to be in, irrespective of the gender.
Great. Again, great insights. So we'll move towards the closure. We have a final question to ask you, which is with respect to the future, the outlook, some advice, and some action points. So looking forward, what advice would you give to young women aspiring to enter technology or move into leadership? For example, what initiatives do you think would make the biggest difference in achieving the gender equity in our industry? That is one thing I would like to ask.
I would say, Parikshit, to all the women out there, that women, own your ambition unapologetically. Know that you belong in tech and you are not here just as a token or as a diversity number. Completely scrap that thought. You become a trailblazer, and in the process, like I said before, just normalize women in tech, because it is so important that at the cost of repetition, I'll keep saying it again and again. See, tech is not a boys club, it's a brain club. So you just get your brain along with you. You be the woman who rolls up her sleeves, who fixes the Wi-Fi, who also leads the project, and who also mentors the next geek girl who is coming in. So that is something which is very important for us to have as traits to kind of make it more accessible and easier for other women to come in. If you talk about equity, I think equity would need far more actions and a lot less lip service. Sponsorship is very important. Organizations need to wake up to that, because sponsors open doors. So you do need more sponsors, not as many mentors. Availability of equal stretch roles and not just safe roles for women. Parity in pay and promotion, it goes without saying. And of course, policies that support women through their life stages and not penalize them for their life stages. So that's also very important to have in place. I think, like I said, tech by itself, it's very inclusive. So if young women step in committed with their whole selves into this field, they will not just sort of bridge the gap, but they will also help redesign this entire path, and they will make it very easier for new women to come in. And leadership, Parikshit, I believe it is not just a title, it's a mindset. You don't need a designation to lead. You can start leading from wherever you are. Influence, it will always be more powerful than position.
Thank you. Thank you, Mehjabeen, for this enriching conversation. Your journey is a true testament to the power of perseverance, purpose, and adaptability in leadership, which we all witnessed today during our podcast. I'm going to take away a lot of insights that we had during our conversation. You delved into your leadership role, you delved into the challenges that women are facing in the technology landscape. You also spoke about some positives that you have witnessed that over the time things have changed in your side. You also talked about the emerging technologies, hopeful about digital twin, and then we talked about some future aspects and advice for the young women leaders stepping into the technology landscape. I think a lot of takeaways. I'm going to take it, and I hope our viewers are going to like this entire podcast. So, as a closing thing, I would say thank you once again for being a part of this podcast. It was a pleasure having you. And for our viewers, do follow us on NASCOM Insights YouTube page, and the video will be out soon. Do share your thoughts and comments, and we'll see you next time with another leader talk with another leader. And the journey goes on, the intent goes on. Thank you so much.
Thank you.